Hi, welcome back. In this short, we're going to cover what I call the small business opportunity curve, okay? And what you're looking at is return on investment and being a small business owner or an investor in a small business that you funded. Okay, so we have ROI on this axis, and then we have this curve I'm going to talk about. Well, part of the issue with this short is recognizing that there's a lot of opportunity for most of us, and it doesn't necessarily fall into where all the media is focused and where all the events that we go to as aspiring entrepreneurs, and that's up here in this curve. So here's where people that you've heard about, angel investors, venture capitalists, and private equity firms kind of operate in this domain. They're looking for at least 10 times their investment back, and that's part of their selection criteria. Spoiler alert, because of that, they only invest in 2% or less of the companies they look at every year. Okay, so 98% of us get rejected by equity investors. And they're not bad people, they're great Americans. They drive the economy largely because of the large volume of investments they make every year, but they are looking for what they call unicorns, which typically are defined by 10x or more returns. The fact of the matter is most small businesses will never fit into that category. Okay, so this curve, let me explain this curve to you. So at the opposite end of the spectrum, we have your fails. These are your losers. Okay, these are where small businesses fail, and you've all heard the high ratio of small businesses that don't make it, right? And it really boils down to, no matter what survey you look at, there's really two prime reasons why that is the case. Number one is there's no market. So how many people do you know say, hey, I got this great idea, and then they tell you what it is and you roll your eyes? That's those people, okay? So they have a great idea, but there's no real market for it. Number two is they run out of cash. And we have plenty of other shorts that cover this topic. And I won't get into it for this, but those are the number one and number two reasons why small businesses fail. That's one of these two reasons. I like to put it in a bag and say, really, it's the difference between a hobby and a business. The difference is a hobby has no market. You're just passionate about that thing and you think a lot of people are going to share that passion, and they don't. That's not having a market, and that's why businesses fail. So enough of that. So we have two ends of the spectrum here. In reality, most American small businesses fall in between. Okay, so they're successful. They're like in this section right here. But they're not 10x returns. And they're not failures, they're sustainable businesses. And they really fall into three categories, and these are opportunities we can all have to become small business owners, fall into three broad categories. Number one is a lifestyle business. Now, angels, VCs, and private equity are constantly sniffing for your opportunity if you go ask them for money to see if it is something called a lifestyle business. What a lifestyle business is, it's a business that is making enough money to pay your salary and take care of you and your family and your employees, right? There's just barely enough to do that. And you might have flat revenue every year, but it's called a lifestyle business because we pays our bills and we make a living off of that, right? Nothing wrong with that. And that's typically a startup that makes it out of this valley of death and becomes sustainable. Number two is a franchise. Now, very few franchises become unicorns, okay? So somewhere in the past, somebody had an idea that had a huge market, and they chose the franchise model as a way to grow their business. So when you buy into a franchise, you're buying into a business in a box, and you're lowering your risk of failure. Why? Why? Because franchises are successful because they have taken this number one reason right off the table of no market. Think about Jersey Mike's or some famous Subway, some famous sandwich brand, for example, right? They've already proven that and have developed a brand and a following around those brands. So if you buy one of those franchises, you're probably pretty assured that you are going to be somewhat successful, as long as you don't have number two hit you in the head, but much more manageable. But they're not going to be 10x returns. And the third one is existing businesses. And folks, this is what gets the least amount of love that's out there in terms of discussions around small businesses, but it's the greatest opportunity. Every small business owner out there One of the things we all look forward to is an exit strategy. We want to retire someday. Our family may not want the business. So part of the advantages of being a small business owner is not only will it pay your own salary for years, but when you're ready to hand the keys to someone, you sell it, and then you have a windfall as a result of the sale. So what you want to be is a buyer. You want to be a buyer of an existing small business, and the fact that the small business is up for sale and available typically says that it's proven itself as a sustainable business, or it's not going to be sold. So these are three strategies that, if you're thinking about being a small business owner, are more realistic than where all the hype is, but is something that we all should think about. Buying an existing business, which is my personal favorite, buying a franchise, which works for a lot of people, particularly retired military. One of my passions in life is helping veterans become small business owners, and we work a lot with franchisors who love veterans. And starting a business with a startup route, but getting it to be sustainable, and which is typically the hardest way to get to sustainment. It's kind of in the reverse order here in terms of the risk factors. So that's what we call the small business opportunity curve. We are making this point to say that these are more likely, more viable options for most of us. And if you're a part of the 2% to get the love from these folks, I wish you luck and good for you. I've been in this area and it's shark-filled waters, but go for it. If you have a business that's scalable like that, you go for it. For most of you, you're going to fall into this category, and you certainly want to stay out of this category. So hopefully you got something out of this short. See you at the next one.